Hello and welcome to Chess with Simon. I'm Simon. We're going through the games of the Oxford Chess Association Cowley Blitz tournament, and this is JanMur versus me. I think JanMur is a super strong junior, and this is an interesting game theoretically in the opening and in the end game. So d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7. So I'm heading for a King's Indian. e4. I like playing the King's Indian. Everyone's got an opinion about the King's Indian. Some people think it's a bad opening. Some people love it. Some people play it but find it frustrating. Everyone's got a view on the King's Indian. d6 here. Now you can actually just castle here. And actually, look, black's stats are even better if you just castle. Isn't that interesting? Because white can play e5 after you castle. Let's just do it. White can play e5 after you castle, but then black's got knight e8. And actually, certainly after, well, black's doing better. Black's just doing better here. So actually, a lot of white players don't do this. f4 is the main move. But, Fischer, I saw a Fischer game where he did this. And actually, it's tricky for white because it's hard for white to sustain the centre. I mean, that's one of the general ideas in the King's Indian, but it's particularly true here. What does the engine say about all of this stuff? The engine says black's better. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, I didn't invite any of that fun. I just played, I don't really know what to do there. Maybe I should look at it. I just played d6. Bishop g5. I saw quite a lot of this in the tournament, which is interesting. It seems to be quite in vogue. Castle, bishop e2, the Averbakh variation. I'm a big fan of Averbakh. The player and the variation. Makes it tricky for black. So generally this discourages the normal black kingside play, and I think certainly the main line is to play on the queen side, c5, so more of a Benoni type position. We've got a lot of good Benoni players in our club. I'm not one of them. Pawn d5, e6. Now I got this wrong. Well, did I get this wrong? I got this marginally wrong. Yeah, I think playing h6 here seems to be recommended. I played e6, and then white wants to play queen d2, but didn't, just threw an h4 in, which is pretty rare actually. Again, the engine's looking for h6 here, thinks h6 is really good. I took, which is, it's certainly not a bad move. I mean, it's the second engine choice. It leads to a pretty even position. White's taken back to open that file, which I put a rook on. I mean, basically in Blitz, if you see an open file, put a rook on it. White's used negative time at the moment, so white's moving faster than the increment, which shows A, he's a quick player, and B, he probably knows what he's doing at this point. Developing a knight seems good, although the engine doesn't like it. The engine wants queen d2, because again, it likes this h6 move. Why does it like it so much? I guess it's breaking the pin. But I should really try and understand that, because that's quite important. Why does it like it so much? I guess just frees the knight on f6, right? Or forces white to take. But I decided to not pin, but to attack his knight, just develop a piece. I guess I know the knight's coming to d7, so I wanted to get the bishop out. And also I want to cover that h5 square, because I'm worried about the pawn being pushed. We're now out of book. I think, when did we come out of book? We came out of book when white took with the e pawn, not the c pawn. Okay. White castles, which the engine doesn't like, and I do think it looks weird after white's played h4, but I don't think white's got a lot of choice, because I don't think he's castling queenside. And I don't think his king can stay in the centre either. So I just develop a knight, again wants to play h6, just keeps on saying that. I'm trying to sort of do this queenside Benoni activity. Now, I didn't like this, and the engine doesn't really like it either. It's not a terrible move, is it? But I guess just introducing some exchanges. And actually, I think there's quite a lot of exchanges now. I think I'm quite willing to exchange because I like the end game. And I suppose, do I think I'm marginally better? I suppose what I'm aiming to do actually is to take that knight on c3 and double the pawns, and actually I get away with it. King f8, just get the minor pieces off. I think my king's marginally closer to the centre. I think there's a chance of messing with his structure. Takes. Okay, so white sensibly starts bringing his king towards the centre. And now I do get to take on c3. So the engine didn't like this. The engine would have preferred knight e4. And then I'm playing king e7. Giving white the option to take on f6, but without this structural compromise. And the point is about knight e4, of course, I can take on b2, but then he's taken on d6 with check. So now I've got a slightly better structure. The engine really likes black now, wants to play b5. I just march my king towards the centre, and then I suppose I'm just taking the decision that I've got a better structure, and so with the knights off, it's more likely to be decisive. Because the less material there is, the more likely it is to be decisive. Anyway, that was my thought. Actually, the engine's not delighted by this at all, wants to play b5. Why is that so good? I guess it's going to weaken the d pawn. So why can't, let's have a look why can't take that. b5. Yeah, so taking's the main line. Takes, and what's the problem? Why is white in all sorts of trouble? Seems to have to play c4. Okay. Can't just defend it with a king? Or what's attacked? Mind-boggling. Defend it with a king. Come on, let's see what's going on here. Why am I better? He's letting me have that pawn. Don't let me have the pawn. f5 check. Oh, I see. Can't hang on to it. You can't hang on to the pawn. Okay. Well, that's a learning point, isn't it? Anyway, I didn't see any of that. But maybe next time. f5 check. So now, this is not quite equal in my view, although the computer thinks it's dead equal, because I think I've got this structural advantage on the queen's side. Now, I'm playing h5 here. I'm quite proud of this. The engine wanted this because stops g4. And I think I've got more reserve tempo. That's what I'm claiming. Tempos. a5. In fact, here it is. So this is the form of Zugzwang, but actually the engine doesn't think white's losing, but it is a Zugzwang because it allows this. And, you know, I've got the initiative at the very least. And here, this is where the theoretically interesting point comes. The right move here is pawn f5 by white, sacrificing a pawn. Now, it's a hard move for white to play. White's got 2 minutes left, so could have afforded to have a think about this. It's a hard move for white to play because it's a sack, and often in pawn endgames, an extra pawn is enough. Of course, it leaves my pawns doubled, and I guess, let's just see what happens if I take. I assume he just goes king f3 if I take. And actually, if I take, he's better. So king f3, and well, let's look at it all. King f4. He's winning, is he? He takes. Okay, so the mind boggles really, doesn't it? So the point here is, let's see what happens. So he's going this way. Yeah. It's a surprise, isn't it, that this is, maybe it's not. Yeah, okay, this. Okay. Come on, let's see it all the way. Takes. I like pawn endgames. No, it doesn't go there. King c7. What's wrong with e7? Okay, let's not get too bogged down. There. Wow. Look at this. We queen at the same time, but his king is closer to the pawns. Well, you really had to take your vitamins to see that. But I don't think you have to see that far, but I think the insight is that the thing to spot is that f5 is a good move. So here, the right move was f5. So black can't take. So black has to do something else. Here, you can't take. And it's just drawn. King g4. Okay, so, but white played here, and now, as it might be, black penetrates round the back, and there's a nasty zugzwang coming. f5, king f2, king h2. You know, you just sort of like, the king can't hang on. I understand playing this. It makes sense, but it's sort of gone, hasn't it? Because there's a nice protected pass pawn there, and white hasn't got a breakthrough. So, and now it really has gone, and the king can just shepherd this through. So this actually went to checkmate, but I wasn't in much time trouble, so I wasn't particularly worried about this. So I think a really good game, a good, interesting theoretical opening. I missed h6, not once, not twice, but many times. I will think about that in the future. I enjoyed the pawn ending. It's a classic idea when you kind of penetrate and then it's zugzwang and the king can no longer defend, often a backward pawn. But actually this time white had a saving move, this pawn f5 move, which I think was hard to see. I mean, I certainly didn't see it. And actually leads to a beautiful variation. If I take it, actually, black loses. So thank you for the game, Jan. We'll look at one of your many victories in the next video. And it was great to play you.